What's happening, everybody? We're back out here in the shop today. We're gonna finish up the bottom end on Tony's zz3 355 engine. Let me turn this radio down before I get demonetized. This is my garage stereo. The old school, you guys know I like the old school radios, stereos. This is the zz3 Pioneer. It's one of the first digital ones that ever came out. We ended up taking the Pioneers, or the Sonys, out of the house, and we hooked up the Bose in there, make more room in the living room for the wife. So, but what we got to do, guys, we got to take this bolt out of the oil pump, and then put the windage tray. It sits on these three pedestals here, and it bolts down with the oil pump. Quick tech tip, you guys. You always want to make sure on your oil pump you Loctite that bolt. Just for anybody that don't know, little quick tech tip for you. But we got everything else pretty much wrapped up. Like I said, we just got to get the windage tray put on, get the oil pan set on. But I'm gonna wait to paint it till we get it over at Tony's. It's beautiful out today. We actually, me and the boy Trevor, my editor-in-chief, we ended up cleaning up some of that mess that the roofers left over on the other side of the house. It's been there since Christmas. Since they finished up 2 days before Christmas, and a bunch of that, and you know, leftover metal, the old vents, and we ended up filling up the barrel with old shingles, and I took a bunch of old rotten wood out there to the fire pit. So we got that all cleaned up, but I've been going through and picking up a lot of nails and screws where they had all the old metal sitting here. So I got to drag a magnet through here. And I think I told you that before when we pulled the trailer out. I grabbed a handful, but now all the snow is gone. It's 62 degrees out right now, and just been cleaning house. But I figured we're gonna get this bottom end wrapped up today, and get this engine over to Tony's. That way I ain't got to worry about it. The way we can start getting back on the El Camino while the Blazer's gone. It's kind of nice having this open area. I'm gonna clean house, clean from here all the way back. I'm thinking about moving that cabinet up here somewhere. And then when the Blazer comes back, I can just leave it back towards the big roll-up door all the way. But we'll see. But I got to get a couple of these nuts cleaned up. I got all my bolts figured out here. I got to get these nuts and get them cleaned up on the wire wheel over here. And I'll put you guys on time lapse, and we'll get this bottom end wrapped up. Alright, we got the oil pan on it. Windage tray's on. I didn't put the gasket in it or nothing, guys, because the simple fact, there's a lot of rust. Here's the boss had to come out and check on me. You want to say hi?
Hello, everyone.
What do you got in your hand? What are you stealing?
For my vacuum, a new filter.
Where'd you get it?
With this.
Going through my stuff? Alright, but anyways, I'm going to have them get a new pan. This one's rustier than shit, and it's pretty deep. It's got a couple bangs and dents, and there's rust pretty bad on the side here too. I mean, let me see if it focuses in. Pans are reasonable for as much as he's got in here, in this engine. I'd say it's worth a new pan. So I'm going to talk to him and have him order a new pan. But the one-piece gasket, we got a one-piece gasket for the one-piece rear main seal crankshaft. So we're going to get, like I said, I'm going to take this over to his shop. And after we get the rest of it all finished up. But we're going to start on the valve train. I'm going to get the lifters installed, the rocker arms, push rods, and see if we can get that part wrapped up and then get that intake sealed up anyway. So we're going to get the engine flipped over, and then I'll put you guys back on time lapse, and I'll bring you back and show you how to check to make sure your push rod length is the right length, which if you guys remember on Jay's 468 build, we did it on that to determine we had to get a new set of push rods made for it. So if you guys remember that video, you guys can go back and kind of see. So if this takes longer than what I'm expecting it to take, I don't want to do a real long video today. You guys pretty much know the drill on these small block Chevys. We can do them in our sleep. But for all the newcomers and people that don't know how to do it, if I have time, I will go through and show how it's done. But if not, you guys can always go back to the 468 build and check it out and see how we do it. We put a little bit of gel, permanent marker gel. It's a gel pen that I use. I rub this on the end of the valves, and then I'll set up the push rod, the rocker arm, set it at 0 lash, and then roll it over and take everything back apart, and then check your center line. Center line should be dead nuts the center of your valve stem for proper geometry. So I'm gonna get back to get this flipped over. I'm gonna go see if the boy can help me roll it over. Pretty tough rolling a full engine over on the engine stand, so. All right, we got valve covers back off, intake back off. And I just wanted to point something out. You guys remember we had the lifter bores all bored out or honed out, because when I tore this engine apart, half the lifters were stuck. They wouldn't come out of the bores. So I put them up as far high as I could, took the camshaft out and just drove them through. So when we had it at the machine shop, I had them run a hone through them. So we should be good to go there. So as you guys can see, I got all my head bolts all marked. Same way on the bottom end. After I do my final torque, I come through and I'll mark a little paint mark on them. That way I know that I've been there and that everything is torqued to spec, ready to go. Because just for this, this occasion, we've been off of this build for over a week. So here we are going back to it. I know everything that's marked has been torqued. You know, I didn't go through and do all the timing cover bolts and all that. I know all that stuff's tight when I did the harmonic balancer. So here we go, guys. We're gonna start getting the valve train in her. And another thing that we did when we had the engine upside down, I rolled everything over and I got more assembly lube on the camshaft, spun everything over so there's good assembly lube on the camshaft too. But these lifters, they've been soaking for quite a while, over a week, so we're good to go. Oh, they slide in like butter. As they should. Remember, these were them high performance Summit brand lifters we had to get because comp was out of stock for the small block Chevy. Comp cam small block Chevy lifters. All right, one step closer. Shit. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to put you guys back on time lapse and get to her. I'll bring you guys back when we got something cool to show you. Ran into our first snag, but luckily I had the parts. These poly locks that we ordered, shit, don't want to get demonetized. Are the big ones, as you guys can see. This setup that I had takes the small ones. You can see the difference? This is way bigger. It won't fit down into, they won't fit in between the rocker there, as you guys can see. No bueno. So that ain't gonna work, but I did find the other ones, which was good. As long as they go down all the way. Zero lash right there. I did end up putting that gel on here too, guys. So I'll have to set you down. But we'll double check our push rod length. Zero lash. Let's see if I can find you a spot to sit and I can set you down here without getting you all oily. We're nowhere at zero lash, so just take and lock your Allen wrench or your Allen screws down. Like I said, you don't need to put any preload on nothing right now. We're just checking to make sure the push rod link's correct. So we're gonna lock these Allen heads down, wipe my oily paws off, roll the motor over one time. Probably doesn't hurt to roll it over a couple times. We're on compression stroke coming up, so we're going to put her back at top dead center, which is right there. Take these off. Which it's nice to invest in the right tools when you're doing these adjustments too. And remember, we went off of Tyler's setup. Slide the rockers off. That one got oil on it from it almost rinsed it off, but we can still see the line. But wipe my oily hands back off. But look where we're at. Get the right angle here. Right dead nut center of that valve stem. That's where we want to be. So we know that our push rod length is 100% correct. So that's a bonus. Now I got to go through, I'm going to clean all these rockers up, blow everything off. I also went through, when I got the push rods out, I wiped them off, and then I went through and blew each of them air through each separate push rod. You want to make sure that there's nothing caught in these holes from, you know, the factory guys. You want to make sure you get oil, especially on a new engine build. We starve anything for oil during the first 20 minutes of run time. It's catastrophic. So, I mean, it's never good to starve anything for oil, period, but the first 20 minutes of this engine firing up is the most critical time this engine's going to have. You know, that's cam break-in, that's everything. So we're gonna put you guys back on the tripod, and we're gonna get everything cleaned up and get these rocker arms and push rods on here. And another quick tip, guys, I just went through with my assembly lube, and we put a little dab of assembly lube on each of the push rods and a little on the tip of the valves. That way, that helps out with the initial fire up and until oil gets up there, which we're going to pre-oil everything anyway, but I always like to put just a little dab on the end of the push rods and on the end of the valves. But it's getting there. I think we're all good on the valve train. We'll have to ship them poly locks back and get a credit for them on Tony's bill. I bought a set for ours too, so hopefully them are not going to be too big. I don't know if we should ship both sets back, or maybe it's just them PAW roller rockers that take the very narrow 3/8. I run 7/16 studs on all my stuff, not 3/8. So, and we're switching Tyler's when we do his valve train, put his roller rocker, full roller setup on. We're also switching his engine over to 7/16. get rid of these 3/8 studs. Like I said, Tony ain't gonna be spinning this engine as hard as Tyler does. We're gonna drag race Tyler, so I doubt if this will ever see the strip on Tony's part, but it is what it is. But I'm gonna get back at it. I'll bring you guys back when we got that all set up. All right, we pretty much got her all wrapped up. We got the valve train installed. All the rockers are set. We use the EOIC method, guys. That stands for exhaust opening, which means you see any movement on your exhaust rocker arm here, any movement to depress the valve, you come over here to your intake side and you set that. That's on the base circle of the cam. So exhaust opening, intake closing. On the intake closing side, that means you run the valve all the way down, open the valve all the way up, and then halfway back closed, you come over and set the exhaust side. That's called the EOIC method. But that's going to pretty much wrap this up for today. I got to go get me some ultra gray silicone to be able to put this intake on. I don't like using the black stuff. It seems like the black never hardens up for me. I've been using the ultra gray for a long time. So why change? It works. So I'm going to have to run to the parts store, but you guys know how to put an intake on, I'm sure. You know, we're going to lay a nice big thick bead of that ultra gray silicone across here on the china walls front and back. And then we're going to set our gaskets on, and then we're going to set our intake on and snug it down, and should be good to go. And like I said, I'm going to have to get with Tony, we're going to switch oil pans out. I'm not putting this rusty piece of crap on. It's pitted bad on the back side, over here in the back. And for what the oil pans, for what a new oil pan is for stock, he doesn't need a 7-quart pan or anything like that. It does have a high volume oil pump in it. But stock pan will work just fine for this. Like I said, he's not going to be racing this engine. So it'll be fine with a stock pan. I think they're 50 to 60 bucks for a orange one that's already painted. We have one that's actually a 6-quart pan on Tyler's, and I think we paid $70-something for it, brand new. It was already painted orange, like the color of the valve covers here. So we'll be all set there. But yeah, everything turned out great. You know, the rockers, the push rod length is all 100% money. So we're good to go. We're going to call this build series on Tony's zz3 355 small block Chevy complete. So we're going to, like I said, I'm going to get some ultra gray silicone gasket maker for that, get the intake on it, and we're going to ship it out the door. It's going over to his shop, and then we got to get it off the engine stand in order to get the one-piece rear main seal on. And then I'll button up the bottom end with the oil pan. But the windage tray is set. The oil pump is Loctited down and torqued to spec. So we're good to go. I went 0 lash on the rockers here, and then 1/2 turn to put a little preload on it. Sometimes you can go 3/4, and you know, look, you can still get movement in the rocker, so we're not bottomed out in the lifter. So I like leaving them a little loose, you know, like 1/4 to 1/2 turn at first for the first initial break-in of the cam, and then I'll go through. If we get any lifter ticking or any sounds, we'll go through and readjust them all after that. But it is what it is. The build turned out great, looks great. I'm sure it's going to run great. So that's going to conclude it, guys. I really appreciate everybody for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. All right, bye-bye.